They say revenge is a dish best served cold. The people in today's stories, they served it at absolute zero by pretending the people who hurt them simply didn't exist. Revenge doesn't get colder than this. Time to catch the mic. Today's stories come from both petty and pro-revenge. She hadn't seen him in years. She was just trying to pick up a prescription. He grabbed her arm, and that was the last mistake he made. Story 1 is titled, I'm Sorry, Who Are You? I, 20 female, have been bullied all my life and have been in recovery for a multitude of things for the past year or so. I go to university in the same city I grew up in, so there's a high chance of me coming across people I went to previous schools with or who hurt or bullied me. I was well known for being bad-tempered and easy to wind up when I was younger. I was in the pharmacy waiting to pick up my prescription when someone shouted something at me. I pretended not to hear them and they shouted again. They ended up getting frustrated and tugging my arm. I twisted around and immediately recognized who this guy was. 20 male who had bullied me for over 10 years. So rather than get angry, I thought I would mess with him and see what happens. Hi, I heard you were in local university. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. Do I know you from somewhere? Immediately deflated. He immediately deflated. It was glorious to see. I had to stop myself from smiling. It's me, Johnny, from school. Come on, you know me. Me, with a confused face, acting 100. I'm really sorry, but I don't know you. Did we go swimming together perhaps or something? No, I don't think so. I'm really sorry, but I don't know who you are. I think you should go to the back of the line, sir. I went back on my phone and just walked him out. He looked lost and eventually went to the back of the line. I got my prescription and I ignored him and I went to my car and drove off. I literally screamed for joy and also because I was about to break down. It was a wonderful feeling to see him like that and to feel like he had nothing against me. To make him feel like he hadn't had a large effect on my life. Edit. I'm so amazed that so many people read this, seeing as I wrote this in 5 minutes in an ASDA car park. To the people who think he was about to be nice or that I bullied him, I have to disagree. He was never nice to me and would love to pretend to be nice and then pull the rug. Nothing I could do would be half as worse as what he's done to me. I don't owe him anything. Hi again, edit. Thank you for all the love in the awards. It means a lot. I just want to clarify he didn't shout my name, but said old ginger, and that he was probably gonna make fun of the fact that I go to the local uni and not a better one. Wow. This is the first time I'm ever going to be able to use this clip because that bully was feeling some
emotional damage.
If his ego was a balloon, she didn't deflate it slowly, she hit it with a blow dart. Story 2, we have another bully who gets exactly what they deserve. He spent 15 years making this person's life miserable. Rumors, fists, cheap perfume sprayed in the eyes, and then one rainy cold night at the Swedish border, there he was. Except this time, he was the one standing outside in the rain. Titled The Bully, a decade later. My parents were friends of this kid's parents who just happened to hate me all the way from our childhood to the end of our time in high school where we parted ways. Thankfully so. When I was in kindergarten, he started a false rumor about me that stuck around a decade later. This resulted in the other kids bullying me alongside him. As he got older, he would beat me up when he felt like it just because he hated me for absolutely no reason. One time in high school, he even went so far to grab the back of my head and slam my face into the desk, destroying my glass frames and giving me a major nosebleed. Another noteworthy incident was when he bought cheap perfume and tried to spray it in my eyes whenever he had the opportunity to. You catch the drift? This guy was a pain all the way from when I was 3 to 18. After high school, I moved out of town, attended university, got a job, and I didn't see that guy again until a decade later. It was a cold, rainy night at the Swedish border after the Öresund Bridge. The border control was carrying out their routine checks. So I got in one of the lanes with my brand new Mercedes, dressed in a suit, as I just finished work, passed the pay station and rolled up for the border control. Lo and behold, there he was as the border controller standing miserably in the cold and rain. Brian Jonathan Wilson. Yes, do I know you? ID please. Me, handing over my ID. You can pass. Me, putting my ID back in my wallet. So how are things? You can pass. Doing well, I see. As I drive off into the night, I could see the anger and hatred in his face. I've forgiven him for everything from a long time ago. I don't hold grudges. I did, however, unintentionally get my petty revenge, seeing him in the cold and rain, burning with his own hatred towards me, which was never justified. They always tell kids it gets better after high school, and here's your proof. A guy who was bullied and treated like crap makes something of themselves and then runs into the person who used to make them feel awful, and they're having a better life than their bully. Tom had spent 20 years becoming exactly the kind of person who needed something from everyone he dismissed. Let's keep the party going with story 3. Titled, I Have No Idea Who You Are, at High School Reunion. My high school class had our 25th reunion over Labor Day weekend. We hadn't managed to put together a reunion since our sparsely attended 5-year. We went to a small college prep school. Our class had 72 kids, where everyone knew each other, and because it was so small, you could bounce between activities, so there weren't a lot of cliques. High school was mostly fine. For my best friend John, names changed, and I, except for one guy named Tom, who wasn't so much a bully as much a general jerk to the smarter kids in the class. He constantly made jokes at our expense and pranked us with things like creating a bunch of fake invites to a fake party at my parents' house or starting a rumor that John had kissed a girl who was a lesbian. John founded a company in his late 20s and had done very, very well for himself. He, and to some extent myself, had raised a lot of money for a local charity over the years, and more recently he had spearheaded the construction of a STEM center to be jointly run by several area schools, including our high school. He got his name put on the building. This has given him a pretty public profile and made him somewhat locally famous. Yes, his parents had given some money, but he has far outpaced them. His company has a marketing assistant that has helped him get his name into the news, including being featured by our local high school's alumni newspapers, newsletters, and social media. They also manage his social media accounts because he gave up a few years ago due to time and professionalism. All this has nothing to do with ego. He's an awesome guy, but he knows that his company's profile and revenue has risen with and because of his personal profile. Tom has since college always been kind of a flashy, self-promoting grifter, get-rich-quick guy. Because of social media, I know he first tried to be a white rapper / DJ in the early 2000s, then has bounced from car sales to some real estate investing thing that sounded like mortgage fraud. I'm in construction and real estate, so I can recognize that crap. To some PE-sounding investment group, and now he has some crypto bro thing going on. Throughout the years, he has heavily promoted himself on social media and even tried to do the whole pay me to teach you investment strategy thing. He's even DM'd me several times with investment opportunities to which I never responded. Fast forward to last weekend. John hosted a part of our reunion at his house / barn. He has several acres. of about 50 alumni plus spouses, and probably 20 kids showed up. John and I, with our spouses and a few friends, pretty much camped out on chairs on a side patio and mostly didn't bother to mingle. We were all drinking and catching up. Mid-evening, Tom comes over to us to glad hand John. John stayed calm and exchanged general pleasantries, but quickly Tom launched into some BS. You know, you've done well, but you could make a lot more money in crypto. John interrupted him with, I'm sorry, I didn't catch who you're here with. Is your wife one of our classmates? You could tell Tom was a bit taken aback. No, man, I'm Tom. We're classmates. Don't you remember I used to razz you? John scratched his head and said, not really. I think I have a pretty good memory of our class, but I don't remember you at all. Then John got serious while giving a small wave to the event planner nearby, Ashley. Listen, I get approached like this all the time because of my business. I get it, but this is my home and a private event. Then looking at Ashley, hey, can you take a moment to verify the guest list? I'm not sure what's going on here. Thanks. Ashley then addressed Tom while giving him a big fake smile. Right this way, sir. We just need to verify your ID against our guest list. I'm sorry, I hope you understand. Tom followed her off in a bit of a huff. John sat back down while giving me a wink and then said to the group, it's unfortunate. I have to be careful. Someone else piped up. Yeah, that was Tom. He was in our class. John kind of shrugged and said, I must not have interacted with him much, and then changed the subject. 20 or so minutes later, Tom returned with a classmate who had largely organized the weekend and had been friends with him in high school. She said, I hear you don't remember Tom. He was in our class all 4 years. He played on the football team. John shrugged again and said, I'm sorry. Sometimes people just fail to leave an impression on me. I hope you enjoy my home and have a lovely weekend. At that, he turned to his wife and said, now let's go check on the important people. Make sure the kids are having fun. If you missed that, the kids are the important people. John texted me a few minutes later. That was fun. If it isn't another person who peaked in high school who thinks that they're supposed to be important to you because they were important to everybody else. That guy was probably waiting 20 years to do just that. She wasn't looking for a fight. She was just looking for a muffin. Then she walked into Greg's and saw who was behind the counter. The person who spent years making her best friend's life a living hell. She decided that that muffin was going to taste a little sweeter than usual. Story 4 gives us another piece of revenge by pretending you don't know someone. Titled, I got revenge on my bully by pretending not to know him. This happened about a year ago, but I watched some Smosh Reddit stories and remembered this and decided to share. So for context, I went to a Catholic school with a friend who's a trans man. I'll call him Dave. We were really close friends, and I'm really proud of him. He was going through a lot of other crap that I won't get into here, but just know he had a rough time. But he was still a great friend and is doing great now. In a university for art. At the time, Dave was openly trans, and he went by he/him pronouns and a new name. Unfortunately, everyone knew him before his transition in his old name, so some people gave him crap for it. There was this guy, I'll call him Brad, who used to bully him a lot and be transphobic. Brad never bullied me that much, but he was really awful to my trans friend by misgendering him and just generally saying awful things. So imagine my surprise when me and my family went to Greg's, a bakery in the UK, and Brad was there behind the counter. I'm not usually a petty person, but when he struck up a conversation with me, I decided I wasn't going to be polite and give this a-hole any kind of energy and instead just pretended not to know him. He said, oh, hey yo Pete, you alright? I just said, sorry, do I know you? Brad tries to explain he knows me from school, but I just give him a weird look and said, sorry, I have no idea who you are. My parents and sister are right there just watching me do this, turning away to hold back laughter. I guess they caught on that I was doing this on purpose. The last thing he says before I leave with my muffin was an oof. Awkward. Haha. Afterwards, my family asked who he was, and I explained who he was and what he did, and they're laughing their butts off. Honestly, that's the only revenge I've ever done, but man, it felt good to humiliate that runt. What is it with bullies thinking they can come and talk to you like they weren't complete a-holes to you? Like, I get that people can change, but what makes them think I even want to talk to them when all I remember about them is them being a complete a-hole? That is a good question that I wonder myself. People that are awful to people try to act like things didn't happen or that they've been friends the whole time. We're not going to go into a psychological assessment here because we've got more stories. Most of the stories in this video are about quiet satisfaction, about a blank face, a closed inbox, a shrug. This one's different. This one ends up with criminal charges. This one is simply titled, I Got Revenge on My Bully. In school, I was relentlessly bullied. Two girls in particular had it out for me. I was shy, loved to read, and I didn't do the popular stuff, so I was the perfect victim. They literally tortured me by holding me down in the staircase when we were alone and sticking me with pinboard pins into my arms and feet. When I tried to tell teachers, they'd say I fell into them as they were lying on the floor, or I did it to myself. It didn't help that one of them was the daughter of one of the teachers at the school. Well, I finally got my revenge. I went to try a new ice cream shop, and lo and behold, one of the girls was serving the ice cream. I have multiple allergies, including milk and gluten, of which the ice cream shop claimed to be cautious. So I ordered gluten and dairy-free ice cream and set up my camera phone to film the area where the ice cream was prepared because I saw the first girl had recognized me and was certain she'd try something. And she did. I caught her on camera putting a spoonful of milk into the bottom of the bowl and crumbling up the gluten-consisting wafers everywhere, then camouflaging it with the last scoop of ice cream. She put it down in front of me and said, I hope you enjoy it. I smiled sweetly at her and asked her if she could get the owner of the shop because I wanted to thank her for being so welcoming to guests with allergies. You can guess what happened next. I showed the owner the video and told her I'd like to press charges because in my country it's considered a criminal offense called inflicting bodily harm to serve someone an allergen when you know the person is allergic. The bully will never work anywhere where she'll come in contact with food again, and she'll have this on her criminal record for years. Sounds like somebody just opened up a dictionary and found the definition of FAFO. Someone who was supposed to help her looked her in the eyes and told her not to bother. Do not apply, do not try, do not dream. You are not university material. She heard those words for the next decade, and then she earned the right to forget them, along with the person who said them. Our last story of the day is titled, My Guidance Counselor Told Me I Wasn't University Material and Years Later I Pretended Not to Know Her. My guidance counselor told me I wasn't university material, and years later I pretended not to know her. I know it doesn't sound much like revenge, but it was oh so sweet, let me tell you. Back in high school, I struggled hard. I had a stepdad who adopted me and then ignored me my whole life, and a mom who was wrapped up in making his life perfect. Yeah, he was what some might call a textbook narcissist, with my mom his flying monkey. Wizard of Oz reference.
Me that girl and her dog. Do what you like with the others, but I want her alive and unharmed.
Anyway, school was a difficult time for me. I had a lot of anxiety and a hard time focusing. I attended all my classes and was always doing well on my assignments, but I had trouble completing them. My guidance counselor was the same all through high school. Every year would start with a meeting with her, and I would explain I needed more help because I was struggling to focus. She brushed me off every time, stating it was obvious I wasn't trying hard enough because I had no excuse, since my stepdad, my adopted dad, was, wait for it, a social worker for the school board and a personal friend of hers. Yeah, It was awful. At the end of high school, we had our obligatory meeting about what colleges, universities, or trade schools to apply to. I told her I was interested in psychology and would like to be a counselor or teach psychology. This woman scoffed, literally scoffed at me and said, and I quote, "Please do not apply to university. It would be a huge disappointment for you. You are not university material. You may be better with a community college or even certificate in administration." Now let me say, there is nothing wrong with going to community college or getting a certificate in something. Nothing at all. But this woman's words would haunt me my whole life. I wanted to pursue something I was very interested in, and she essentially told me I wasn't smart enough or capable enough to do it. Fast forward to my late 20s. I worked a variety of small jobs here and there and became very depressed. I finally decided one day that F it, I'm applying to university. Well, I got in and I graduated with honors. So I went to a teacher's college for another bachelor's degree and again graduated with honors. And about 5 years ago, I finally finished my master's in behavioral psychology. 2 years ago, stepdad died, and who is at the visitation? My old guidance counselor. She came right over and started talking to me immediately like she knew me. Like we're old friends. I cut her off and said, "I'm so sorry. You must be confusing me with someone else." She looked absolutely shocked and said, "I was your guidance counselor for 4 years." And I just shook my head and gave her the best blank look I could give, shrugged and said, "Sorry, I honestly don't remember you." When I left, she still looked a bit confused and disappointed. I think she had hoped for me to have all these good memories of her, how helpful she was to me as a teen, but nope, I wanted her to feel that she was nothing to me, had zero effect even though she did affect me. I wasn't letting her know that. I felt pretty good about that. Edit. To anyone wondering, I now teach psychology to future counselors, so I'm doing what I originally wanted, and that makes this so much sweeter. Edit 2. My mom had run into her a few times at the grocery store before this and had bragged about my accomplishments, so I didn't have to tell her about them. She knew I was successful. Since she already knew, I pretended she was nobody to me. To ensure she understood, she contributed nothing. Also, for those who say she helped me in the end and she was right, no, I asked her to help me for 4 years and got nothing. She laughed at my dreams and goals. She did not do her job. She failed as a guidance counselor and frankly also as a decent human being. Third edit. Wow! Thank you for all the encouraging words. You guys are awesome. It sounds like this touched a nerve for a lot of people. It makes me sad how so many people were treated like this too. I'd love to expand my own story more, but I wouldn't know where to do that. I'm just glad this post was able to inspire some people to achieve their dreams in spite of the adults who said they couldn't. And to the haters who still want to argue, "But she helped you." Yeah, no. I motivated and helped myself. How dare you try to diminish my hard work by saying this woman who failed me was helping? Shame on you for saying that. Bullies aren't motivational tools, they're just tools. I don't think I'll ever understand how people can try to use other people to build themselves up. Unless people who believe in reincarnation are right, we only get one shot on this planet, so it's better to be nice to people and try to send out some positivity. These people who treated others poorly got exactly what they deserved. They thought they were the main characters of the story, but they weren't even a recognized villain. Being a bully sucks. As usual, if you enjoyed the stories, don't forget to click the like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. I'm trying to build a community here, and I'm buried among all these other YouTubers. So if you can help me get seen, you'll make my day. We'll see you next time at Storytime with Sean S. Have a great one. Now YouTube is showing you some other stories that I have on my channel. They might make you laugh, help you relax, or just wind down after a hard day. I'll see you in the next video. This one's totally worth it. I had fun making it. Hopefully you have fun watching it.